Salam, peace. I'm called Ayisha Siddiqa. I come from the tribal community of Mochiwala in northern Punjab, Pakistan, and my people are from the Four Rivers. And storytelling, specifically poetry, is something I was raised on by my grandparents and my parents. And there's one phrase by the poet Faz Ahmed Faz, which goes, Bol ke lab azad hain tere, which essentially means speak because your tongue is still free. And I think it's a very, very powerful message to anybody, especially young people, that as long as you have the ability to use any part of your body or any part of you to speak on what is right, you should. Before I go into my poetry, I've written a deep analysis on what extinction actually means. So please bear with me as I go into this, and if at any point you lose me, I apologize. We'll end the day with poems. But the crisis of climate change, the sixth mass extinction, or as the scholar David Collins puts it, the dominance of capitalism is fundamentally loss magnified. The extent of this loss is difficult to quantify, even if one listed out all the accomplishments and failures of humanity until present time. It's difficult to quantify, even if one made an inventory of all the objects that will be left abandoned if they cease to exist, because the network of memory, of human memory, depends on the presence of humans to keep it alive. Our existence gives life to so much that is inanimate and animate. And grasping on the theoretical implications of human extinction is a multi-step process. One must first entertain the possibility of environmental disasters of such magnitude that humans do not survive. One must then attempt to contrive a reality without human input or human output. And lastly, internalize the seriousness of extinction. For me, at the age of 24, such thoughts have been immobilizing. They've required extensive reading on the why and the how. Why are we at the dawn of extinction, and how will we eventually arrive to it? Consequently, the data climate scientists are sharing, if one applies that to your personal networks of human relationships, experiences, memories, etc., one is bombarded with the feeling of immense loss headed our way. All the things that will be left abandoned will serve as witnesses that we were once here. The premature abandonments of pictures, paper, of crayons, of dresses, of shoes, and recipes passed on from generations to generations. The ethereal abandonments of Bibles, Qur'ans, Rig Vedas, all the things that we as a species have fought and killed and jailed people over, that too will be left abandoned. However, for these objects to have sentimental value, someone must discover them. And with the idea that we are headed toward an extinction, it's quite possible that for peoples, entire communities, entire cultures, there will be no memories because there will be no one left to remember. So that is when one comes to understand that the only way to combat the daunting numerical data and alarming probability of extinction for cultures and peoples, especially indigenous peoples, is to take on the irrational stance. One that is stubbornly resilient and motivated by love and things and humanity. I want to stress the humanity part as somebody who comes from a tribal nation, who recognizes the rivers and the waters and the trees and four-legged creatures and two-legged creatures as my relatives, that humans too belong on this earth. that we as a species, there's a reason why we call this place home, that we have a right to be here as well. And in this stubbornly resilient and motivated stance of love, we also need to understand that without humanity, our concept of our love between each other, that ceases to exist. Laughter ceases to exist. Every little twig that has created our collective concept of this nest we call home disappears. And we are connected to every human that has ever stepped foot on this planet, that has ever spoken, that has ever shed a tear. Simply put, fighting the climate crisis, investing in art, investing in something like this is a devotion to the billions of histories that have brought us here today. And that is why we need memory. We need art. We need to leave behind evidence that we tried, that we are trying, and the following poems will allude to this. The first one is called After Extinction. Vaporless and personal, ours is a vulnerable storyline. There is no setting because the vegetation and river run and trees and buildings and the ordinary characters inside the itchy buildings have disappeared. There is no theme but waves of empty scapes and the underlined bellies, all extraordinarily ruptured, and our children never meet. No one sticks their fingers into empty peanut butter jars or fights over the remote control. Monopoly boards never fly to meet the ground. No one spills coffee over their favorite pants. Deep appetites do not go unfulfilled, and no one becomes victim to the condition of truth, and no one is lost enough to compose music or ask, "Oh Lord, how come I born here?" And God never gets to stand us up. The grass never stretches upwards with the lolling cocoons, and the ants do not go marching 2 by 2. No one is there to watch the sun seep nectar into the sapphire, no precious chirping and shivering of feathered bodies. Jeremiah never wails, Muhammad never sobs, Jesus never weeps, and no one really cares. This is recent. These underlying beliefs, the earth as dead matter, the soil as commodity, the land as property, that the long-time horizons can be altered, and I suppose that's why compromise feels like sin. This pale blue dot on this dark surface of skin, these various networks of heartbeats with their various problems, gone. Completely gone. No chance to show off their resilience. The peace deal never comes, and no one is there to lament us now that we are gone. The next poem, I wrote this from a very personal space. I'm currently serving as an advisor to the UN Secretary General, and have been working in climate space for a while now. And in doing these advisory positions or being in climate space, over the years, I've lost my talk. And this poem is called I Lost My Talk. Somewhere in the tournament of public speaking, in the palms of your applause, intending to your sons, I lost my talk. Sometime when I was describing how this skin is the same wetness of the land and the teeth echo the same rhythm of the ocean, up and left the piece. Now when I talk, I introduce myself like you. To enter the door, I wear the same clothes as you. To live among you, I get sick like you. To raise my fist, I try to politicize like you. And when I eat, I serve myself like you. You who are looking to get full, you who hushed the song you could not carry, you who can't remember how to name what is in your heart. Let me harvest and pay tribute in my habit. Let me love what is mortal. Let me place one word in front of another and mourn our silence. It's not all depressing, I promise. This next poem, especially because to introduce the readings I'm sharing with you, I spoke about memory. For my family, memory has been a very controversial thing. For example, none of my siblings and my parents have the same last name because in our village, we have to protect each other. And it's easier to protect each other if you can't tell who you're related to, so they can't harm the people that you're related to. And the way that we keep our family legacy alive is we have one bookkeeper. And today that bookkeeper is my mom's brother, and he has all the names of our family members in his book, and he keeps an apprentice. And his apprentice will continue his work when he has passed. And we have this very, very long tradition of siblings dedicating letters to each other as well. And so this poem is for my little sister, and it's an effort to keep our family lineages alive, although our peoples are passing away, and we have, in terms of Western documentation, we have very little of that. It's called For Little Feet and Big Uprisings. But if you find yourself waiting for the birds to go quiet, if your legs dangle like sunflower heads every morning after you wake, if September doesn't make you want to coddle the day with both your hands, if you've taken more hits to your name than you could hide, if tomorrow comes and goes, and your heart is sick, I've still got some best of me left for you. You can always find me where the skies are blue. And the last poem I'll leave you guys with, it's called On Another Panel About Climate. They ask me to sell the future, and all I've got is a love poem. What if the future is soft, and revolution is so kind that there is no end to us in sight? Whole cities breathe, and bad luck is bested by a promise to the leaves. To withstand your own end is difficult. Anger against injustice makes the voice grow harsher yet. The future frolics about, promise to no one, as is her right. But if she leaves without us, the silence that will follow will be an unspeakable nothing. What if we convince her to stay? How rare and beautiful it is that we even exist. What if we stun existence one more time? When I wake up, get out of bed, my 7-year-old cousin with her ruptured belly tags along. Then follows my grandmother, my other cousins, and the violent shape of their drinking water. The earth remembers everything. Our bodies are the color of the earth, and we're nobodies. Been born from so many apocalypses. What's one more? Love is still the only revenge. It grows each time the earth is set on fire. But for what it's worth, I'd do this again. Gamble on humanity 100 times over. Commit to life onto life. As the trees fall and take us with them, I'd follow love into extinction. Thank you guys so much.